I was sitting on my couch when the text came through. It was from my sister Briana. No hey, no how are you, just this. We're moving in Friday. Mom already agreed. I stared at my phone, read it again, then one more time. She didn't ask, she announced. Like my house was a hotel. Like the guest room upstairs was hers by default. Like I didn't exist except as a place to land when things got hard. I looked around my living room. The brownstone I restored with my own hands, the floors I sanded, the mortgage I paid alone. Every corner of this place was mine. I earned it. I bled for it. And now my family was treating it like community property. Have you ever had family act like your boundaries don't exist? Like your success was built just so they could use it? That's what this felt like. I didn't cry. I didn't call anyone. I just sat there in the quiet and realized something I should have known years ago. They weren't coming to visit. They were coming to take. I didn't respond to the text right away. Instead, I sat there and let my brain do what it does best. I replayed everything. Every moment. Every favor. Every time I said yes when I should have said no. Because this wasn't new. Briana didn't just wake up one day and decide my house was hers. This had been building for years, and I had let it happen. I thought about the car. 3 years ago, Briana called me crying. She said her Honda broke down and she needed to get to work. She asked if she could borrow mine for a few days. Just a few days. I said yes. A week later, I got it back with a dent in the passenger door, a cracked mirror, and an empty gas tank. When I asked what happened, she shrugged. I don't know. It was like that when I parked it. She didn't apologize. She didn't offer to fix it. She just handed me the keys and walked away. I paid for the repairs myself. $800. When I told my mom, she sighed like I was the problem. Madison, it's just a car. Family helps family. That phrase. I heard it my whole life. Family helps family. It was the excuse for everything. It was the reason I was supposed to smile and nod and keep giving. It didn't matter what I lost. It didn't matter how much it hurt. I was supposed to help, because that's what family does. But here's the thing nobody said out loud. It only went one way. I helped Briana. I helped my parents. I helped everyone. But when I needed help, silence. I thought about the money. 2 years ago, Briana called me at midnight. She was sobbing. She said she was in trouble. She said she needed $3,000 or she'd lose her apartment. I didn't have $3,000 just sitting around. I was saving for a down payment on this house. Every dollar mattered. But she was my sister, and she was crying, and I believed her. I transferred the money the next morning. A week later, I saw her Instagram story. She was at a casino in Atlantic City, holding a cocktail, smiling at a roulette table. I felt sick. I called her. She didn't pick up. I texted her. She replied hours later. Relax, I paid my rent. The rest was mine to spend. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell her she lied. I wanted my money back. But I didn't, because I knew what would happen. My mom would call. She'd tell me I was being selfish. She'd say Briana was going through a hard time. She'd make me feel like the villain for being upset. So I swallowed it. I let it go. I kept my mouth shut. And Briana kept asking. A few months later, she needed $500 for car insurance, then another $1,000 for a medical bill she swore was urgent, then $600 because her boyfriend got laid off. I gave it all. I didn't keep a running total back then. I wish I had. But I gave and gave and gave because I thought that's what you do. I thought if I kept helping, eventually someone would help me back. They never did. When I was 23, I lost my job. I was waiting tables and going to school part-time, and the restaurant shut down with no warning. I had $400 in my account and rent due in 2 weeks. I called my dad. I explained the situation. I asked if I could borrow $500 just to cover rent. I'd pay him back as soon as I found something. He said no. Not, I don't have it. Not, times are tight. Just, no. He said I needed to figure it out myself. He said struggling builds character. He said I'd be fine. I wasn't fine. I ended up sleeping in my car for 3 weeks until I got hired at a call center. I showered at the gym. I ate dollar menu food. I cried myself to sleep in a parking lot behind a Walgreens. And my family knew. Briana saw me during that time. She didn't offer her couch. She didn't offer help. She asked if I could still cover the Netflix password we shared. My mom found out later and said, "Why didn't you just come home?" Because home wasn't safe. Home was the place that made me feel small. So I stayed in my car, and I survived. And when I finally got back on my feet, nobody congratulated me. Nobody said they were proud. They just started asking for favors again. That's the thing about being the strong one in a family like mine. Your strength isn't celebrated, it's used. They saw me climb out of that hole, and instead of respect, they saw opportunity. I became the go-to, the backup plan, the one with money, with space, with stability. And I gave it, over and over, because I thought love meant sacrifice. But here's what I learned too late. Sacrifice only works if it's mutual. In my family, I was the only one sacrificing. Briana took and took. My parents enabled and excused. And I kept saying yes because I didn't know how to say no without feeling guilty. But guilt is a weapon, and they knew exactly how to use it. Every time I hesitated, my mom's voice would echo in my head. "She's your sister. Blood is thicker than water. You only get one family." I used to believe that. I used to think family was sacred, unbreakable, worth protecting at any cost. Now I know better. Family isn't sacred just because you share DNA. It's sacred when it's safe, when it's mutual, when it's built on respect, not exploitation. And my family didn't respect me. They saw me as a resource, a bank account with legs, a fallback option. I wasn't Madison to them. I was convenience. Sitting on my couch that night, staring at Briana's text, I finally let myself see it clearly. This wasn't about her needing help. This was about her feeling entitled to my life. She didn't ask because she didn't think she had to. In her mind, what was mine was hers. The house I bought, the space I created, the peace I fought for. She thought she could just show up and take it. And my mom agreed. That was the part that hurt the most. My mom didn't call to ask me. She didn't check if I was okay with it. She just gave Briana permission like it was her house to give, like I didn't matter. I thought about all the times I covered for them, all the lies I told myself, all the excuses I made. I told myself Briana was just irresponsible, that she didn't mean to hurt me. I told myself my parents were old-fashioned, that they didn't understand boundaries. But deep down, I knew the truth. They didn't care. They cared about keeping the peace. They cared about not dealing with Briana's drama. They cared about making their own lives easier. And if that meant sacrificing me, they'd do it every time. I was the quiet one, the responsible one, the one who didn't cause problems. So I became the solution to everyone else's problems. And I was tired. I looked at my phone again, Briana's message still glowing on the screen. "We're moving in Friday." No. That word rose up in my chest like a wave. No. For the first time in my life, I felt it clearly, solidly. I wasn't going to explain. I wasn't going to justify. I wasn't going to apologize. I was just going to say no. And I was going to mean it. People see my house and think I got lucky. They see the tall windows, the brick exterior, the vintage charm of a Savannah brownstone, and they assume I inherited money, or married well, or stumbled into success. They don't see what it cost me. The guest room upstairs, the one Briana thought she could just move into, isn't extra space. It's proof I survived. Every inch of this house represents a piece of my life I clawed back from nothing. The floors I refinished on my knees, The walls I painted at 2 in the morning. The mortgage I pay every month without help from anyone. This house isn't just where I live. It's where I became myself. Let me tell you how I got here. When I was 23, I was homeless. Not visibly homeless. Not the kind people notice. I had a job. I had clean clothes. I showed up on time. But at night, I slept in my car. I parked behind a Walgreens on the edge of town where the lights stayed on all night. I kept a blanket in the back seat, a phone charger in the console, and a bag of clothes in the trunk. I showered at Planet Fitness, 5 in the morning, before my shift started. I'd wash my hair in the sink, change in the bathroom stall, and walk out looking like everything was fine. Nobody knew. I didn't tell anyone. Not my coworkers, not my friends, and definitely not my family. Because I already knew what they'd say. My mom would sigh and say, "You should have been more careful with money." My dad would lecture me about responsibility. And Briana? She'd probably ask if she could borrow my gym membership. So I stayed quiet. I survived alone. I worked doubles at the call center. I saved every penny I could. I ate ramen and granola bars and whatever expired food the gas station was throwing out. It wasn't noble. It wasn't inspiring. It was just survival. And it broke something in me. Not my will, my illusions. I used to think family meant safety. I thought if things got really bad, someone would catch me. But when I fell, nobody reached out. They didn't even notice. Briana was too busy partying. My parents were too busy pretending everything was fine. And I was invisible. So I made a promise to myself. I would never be that vulnerable again. I would build something they couldn't take, something they couldn't touch, something that was mine and only mine. That's what this house is. It took me 6 years. 6 years of saving, working, planning, sacrificing. I worked 2 jobs for most of it. I skipped vacations. I didn't buy new clothes. I didn't go out. I just worked and saved and worked some more. When I finally had enough for a down payment, I cried. Not happy tears, relief tears. Because I knew I'd done it. I knew I'd never have to sleep in my car again. I knew I had a place that was mine. The brownstone wasn't perfect when I bought it. The floors were warped. The bathroom was falling apart. The kitchen hadn't been updated since the 70s. But it was mine. I spent a year fixing it. I learned how to sand floors from YouTube. I tiled the bathroom myself. I painted every single wall. I didn't hire help. I couldn't afford it. And honestly, I didn't want it. Because every hour I spent on that house was an hour I spent healing. Every nail I hammered was a piece of my past I buried. Every wall I painted was a boundary I built. This house wasn't just shelter, it was therapy. And the guest room, the one Briana wanted to take over, that room almost broke me. It was the last room I finished. I avoided it for months because I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't have guests. I didn't have people I trusted enough to invite into my space. For a long time, it just sat empty. But then I realized what it really was. It was the room I didn't have when I needed one. It was the couch nobody offered me. The bed I should have been given. The safe place I never got. So I made it beautiful. I bought the softest sheets I could find. I painted the walls a soft gray. I put up curtains that blocked out the light. I added a lamp, a chair, a small bookshelf. I made it the kind of room I wished someone had made for me. And I decided that if I ever let someone stay there, it would be someone who deserved it. Someone who needed it. Someone who respected what it meant. Not someone who demanded it. Not someone who felt entitled to it. Not Briana. Because Briana didn't see this house the way I did. To her, it was just space. Empty space. Wasted space. She didn't know what it cost me. She didn't care. She saw a guest room and thought, why shouldn't I have that? She didn't see my sleepless nights, my aching hands, my years of silence and sacrifice. She just saw something she wanted, and she assumed it was hers. That's what my family did. They looked at my life and saw resources. They saw my car and thought, she can share. They saw my paycheck and thought, she can help. They saw my house and thought, she has space. They never asked what I needed. They never asked what I wanted. They just took. And I let them. Until now. Sitting in my living room, looking around at everything I built, I felt something shift. It wasn't anger. It wasn't bitterness. It was clarity. This house wasn't a favor I owed them. It wasn't a resource they could claim. It was mine. I bought it. I fixed it. I filled it with my own sweat and pain and hope, and I wasn't going to let them erase that. Letting Briana move in would mean pretending the past didn't happen. It would mean acting like I didn't spend weeks in my car while she posted party pictures online. It would mean giving her the safety I never got. And I couldn't do it. Not because I was cruel, not because I didn't care, but because I finally understood something important. Protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. I worked too hard to get here. I fought too long to feel safe, and I wasn't going to give that up. Not for Briana, not for my parents, not for anyone. This house was my proof that I made it, and I wasn't letting anyone take that away from me. I picked up my phone. I looked at Briana's text one more time. We're moving in Friday. Mom already agreed. I took a deep breath, and I started typing. No. That's all I wrote. Just that one word. I didn't explain. I didn't apologize. I didn't justify. I just said no. And then I blocked her number. Because I was done explaining myself to people who never listened. I was done sacrificing my peace for people who never protected it. I was done being the backup plan. This was my house, my life, my boundary. And for the first time, I wasn't apologizing for it. The call came 2 hours later. I was in the kitchen making tea when my phone lit up. Mom's name flashed across the screen. I stared at it. Let it ring 3 times. 4. 5. I could have ignored it. Part of me wanted to. But I knew she'd just keep calling. She'd leave voicemails. She'd text. She'd show up if she had to. So I answered. Hello? Madison. Her voice was tight, controlled, like she was trying very hard not to sound angry. What is going on? I didn't pretend not to know what she meant. I told Briana no. I can see that. She paused. I heard her breathe in through her nose. The same sound she used to make when I was a kid and did something she didn't approve of. She's very upset. Okay. Silence. Okay? My mom's voice pitched higher. That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say? I want you to explain why you're being so difficult. Difficult. That word landed like a slap. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't crying. I wasn't making demands. I just said no, and that made me difficult. I'm not being difficult, I said. My voice stayed calm, steady. I'm saying no to something I don't want. Madison, she has nowhere else to go. That's not my problem. I heard her inhale sharply, like I'd said something shocking, something cruel. She's your sister. I know who she is. Then you know she needs help right now. She always needs help, Mom. And family helps family. There it was, the line I'd heard 1,000 times. The phrase that was supposed to end every argument. The magic words that made me wrong and them right. But this time, it didn't work. Family goes both ways, I said, and I've been helping for years. I'm done. You're being selfish. Maybe. Another pause, longer this time. I could hear her breathing. I imagined her standing in her kitchen, gripping the counter, trying to figure out what to say next. You have the space, she finally said, her voice softer now, almost pleading. You have that whole guest room just sitting there empty. It's not empty. It's mine. You're not even using it. That doesn't mean it's available. Madison, she sighed, long and heavy. The kind of sigh that said I was exhausting her, that I was being unreasonable, that I was the problem. I don't understand why you're acting like this. I'm not acting like anything. I just don't want people living in my house. Briana isn't people. She's your sister. She's also an adult, with a boyfriend. They can figure it out. They don't have any money. Then they should get jobs. They're trying. I almost laughed. Trying. Briana had been trying her whole life. Trying and failing and expecting everyone else to catch her. Mom, I'm not doing this. You're really going to turn your back on her? I'm not turning my back on anyone. I'm protecting my own space. She just needs a few months. No. Madison, no. I said it louder this time, firmer. I have a mortgage. I have bills. I have a life I built by myself, and I'm not letting her move in just because it's convenient for everyone else. This isn't about convenience. It's about family. Then where was my family when I needed help? Silence. I didn't plan to say that. It just came out. But once it did, I couldn't take it back, and I didn't want to. What are you talking about? My mom's voice was tight again, defensive. I'm talking about when I was 23 and sleeping in my car. You never told us it was that bad. I told Dad I needed $500 for rent. He said no. That was different. How? You needed to learn responsibility. And Briana doesn't? She didn't answer. I closed my eyes, took a breath. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to cry. I was just going to say what needed to be said. I slept in my car for 3 weeks, Mom. I showered at the gym. I ate food out of gas station trash cans. And nobody helped me. We didn't know. You knew enough. Madison, that's not fair. What's not fair is pretending Briana deserves something I never got. She's in a bad situation. So was I. You were fine. You figured it out. And there it was. The truth. I was fine because I had to be. Because nobody was coming to save me. Because I didn't have a choice. Briana always had a choice. She had me. She had them. She had a safety net made of other people's money and guilt. And I was tired of being part of that net. I did figure it out, I said quietly. And I'm still figuring it out. Alone. And I'm going to keep doing that. In my house. Without Briana. You're making a mistake. Maybe. But it's my mistake to make. She's going to be so hurt. She'll survive. I don't know what's happened to you. My mom's voice cracked. Like she was the victim here. Like I was the one hurting her. You used to be so kind. That one hit deeper than I expected. Kind. I used to be kind. I used to say yes. I used to give. I used to bend and stretch and sacrifice until there was nothing left of me. And they called that kindness. But it wasn't kindness. It was fear. Fear of being the bad guy. Fear of being alone. Fear of proving them right when they said I was selfish. But I wasn't selfish. I was surviving. I'm still kind, Mom, I said. I'm just not a doormat anymore. That's a terrible thing to say. It's the truth. She was quiet for a long moment. I thought maybe she'd hang up. Maybe she'd start yelling. Maybe she'd cry. But she didn't. Instead, she said, I already told her she could stay with you. My stomach dropped. You what? I told her it was fine, that you'd understand, that family takes care of family. You had no right to do that. I'm your mother. And it's my house. Madison, please, just let them stay for a little while, just until they get back on their feet. No. Why are you being so stubborn? Because it's my life, and I get to decide who's in it. You're going to regret this. I don't think I will. When you're old and alone, you're going to wish you had family. I almost laughed. Old and alone. The threat every parent uses when their kid sets a boundary. Like being alone was worse than being used. I'd rather be alone than surrounded by people who don't respect me, I said. That's a sad way to live. It's better than the alternative. My mom went quiet. I could hear her breathing. I could picture her face. Tight, disappointed, angry. But I didn't care anymore. I wasn't responsible for her feelings. I wasn't responsible for fixing Briana's life. I wasn't responsible for keeping everyone happy. I was only responsible for me. "I'm going to hang up now," I said. "Madison, I love you, Mom, but I'm not changing my mind. Please don't do this. Goodbye." I hung up before she could say anything else. My hands were shaking, my heart was pounding, but I didn't cry. I just stood there in my kitchen, holding my phone, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Relief. I didn't second-guess myself. I didn't call her back. I didn't apologize. I just breathed. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty for saying no. I felt free. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was upset, not because I regretted what I said, but because my brain wouldn't stop moving. I kept thinking about the phone call, about my mom's voice, about the way she said Briana had nowhere else to go. And I kept thinking about the money, all the money I'd given over the years, all the times I said yes when I should have said no. I wanted to know how much. So at 2 a.m, I got out of bed, made coffee, and opened my laptop. I pulled up my bank statements, 5 years worth, every transaction, every transfer, every Venmo payment, and I started adding. It didn't take long to find the first one. $3,000, October 2022, labeled Briana Emergency. The night she called crying, the night she said she'd lose her apartment, the night she lied. I remembered the sick feeling I had when I saw her at the casino a week later, the anger I swallowed, the words I didn't say. I highlighted the transaction, moved on. $500. January 2023. Car insurance. I didn't even remember that one. It blended in with all the others. $1,000. March 2023. Medical bill. $600. June 2023. Boyfriend's rent. $800. September 2023. Emergency. Another emergency. There was always an emergency. I kept scrolling, kept highlighting, kept adding. The numbers got bigger. $1,200, November 2023. Court fees. She didn't tell me what the court fees were for. I didn't ask. I just sent the money. $2,000, February 2024. Car repair. I remembered that one. She said her engine died, said she'd pay me back. She never did. I kept going, transaction after transaction, year after year. Some of them were small, $50 here, $100 there, but they added up. By the time I reached the end, my stomach hurt. I stared at the total at the bottom of the spreadsheet. $15,300. $15,000. I sat back in my chair, stared at the screen. That was a year of mortgage payments. That was a new car. That was a savings account. That was security. And I gave it away. Not to someone who needed it, to someone who felt entitled to it. I clicked over to Briana's Instagram. I hadn't looked at it in months, maybe longer. Her profile was public, full of pictures, brunch with friends, new nails, concert tickets, matching outfits with Brandon. I scrolled back, found the dates that matched my bank transfers. March 2023, the month I sent her $1,000 for a medical bill. She posted a photo at a spa, caption, Self-Care Sunday. June 2023, the month I sent $600 for Brandon's rent. She posted a photo of them at a beach resort, caption, Much needed getaway. I felt my jaw tighten. She wasn't struggling, she was spending, and I was funding it. I kept scrolling, kept matching dates, kept finding proof. Every time I sent money, she posted something new, something expensive, something unnecessary. And I believed her every time, because I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe my sister wouldn't lie to me, that she wouldn't use me, that family meant something. But it didn't, not to her. I was just a wallet, a backup account. a safety net she could fall into whenever she felt like it. And my parents helped her do it. I thought about my mom's words on the phone. She has nowhere else to go. But that wasn't true. She had options. She always had options. She just didn't want to use them, because using me was easier. I closed Instagram, opened my email, started searching. I found the thread from 2 years ago, the one where my mom forwarded me Briana's urgent request for money. The subject line, "Please help your sister." I read through the emails, my mom's guilt-heavy language, Briana's desperate tone, and my response. Of course, I'll send it today. I wanted to reach through the screen and shake my past self. I wanted to scream, "Don't do it. She's lying. Save your money. Protect yourself." But I couldn't. I could only sit here now and see it clearly. They used me, and I let them. But that was over. I opened a new document, started typing. I listed every transaction, every date, every amount, every lie. I didn't do it because I wanted the money back. I knew I'd never see it. I did it because I needed to see the truth in black and white. I needed proof that I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't selfish, that I had every right to say no. By the time the sun came up, I had a full report. $15,300, 17 separate transactions, 5 years of being a bank account instead of a sister. I saved the document, printed it, put it in a folder. I didn't know what I was going to do with it yet, but I knew I needed it. I made more coffee, sat at my kitchen table, looked around my house. This place cost me $220,000. I put down $40,000. The rest was a mortgage I paid every month without fail. I worked for this. I sacrificed for this. And my family looked at it and saw wasted space. They didn't see my labor. They didn't see my discipline. They didn't see the years I spent alone, building something they could never take. They just saw a guest room, and they thought they deserved it. I thought about Briana's text again. "We're moving in Friday. Mom already agreed." She didn't ask because she didn't think she needed to. In her mind, my house was already hers. My success was already hers. My life was already hers. And my parents agreed. That's what hurt the most. Not Briana's entitlement, I expected that, but my mom's complicity. She gave Briana permission to move into my house without asking me. Like I didn't matter. Like my boundaries didn't exist. Like my home was just another resource to distribute. I wasn't angry anymore. I was clear. I pulled out my phone, opened my contacts, scrolled to a name I hadn't called in a while. Derek. We went to college together. He was a property manager now, specialized in landlord-tenant law. I sent him a text. "Hey, need advice. Can I call you later?" He responded within minutes. "Of course, free after 10. I thanked him, put my phone down. I wasn't just saying no anymore. I was building a wall, a legal one, because I knew my family. They didn't respect words. They didn't respect boundaries, but they'd respect paperwork. At 10, I called Derek. He answered on the second ring. "Madison, it's been a minute. What's going on?" I told him everything. The text, the phone call, the years of money, the entitlement. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "You need a cease and desist letter." "For my own family?" "Especially for your family." He explained it. A formal letter, legal language, clear consequences. If they showed up, it was trespassing. If they entered, it was breaking and entering. If they tried to establish residency, I had documentation proving I never gave permission. "It sounds extreme," I said. "It is extreme," Derek replied. "But it works. It draws a line, and if they cross it, you have legal standing." I thought about it, about my mom's voice, about Briana's texts, about the moving truck I knew was probably already reserved. "Okay," I said. "Let's do it." I'll draft it today. You'll have it by tonight. Thank you. Madison, he said, his voice softer now. You're doing the right thing. I wasn't sure I believed him, but I wanted to. That night, Derek emailed me the letter. It was 3 pages, formal, cold, legal. It named Briana and Brandon specifically. It stated clearly that they did not have permission to enter or reside at my property. It outlined consequences, trespassing charges, possible arrest, restraining orders. I read it twice. It felt harsh, but it also felt necessary. I printed 2 copies, signed both, one for me, one for them. I didn't mail it yet. I wanted to wait, to see if they'd actually show up. Part of me hoped they wouldn't. Part of me hoped this was all a bluff, that Briana was just being dramatic, that Friday would come and go and nothing would happen. But I knew better. They were coming, and I needed to be ready. Wednesday morning, I called out of work. I told my boss I had a family emergency, which wasn't the lie. It just wasn't the kind of emergency she probably imagined. I wasn't helping. I was preparing. I drove to a security company on the south side of town, the kind of place that did installations for businesses and high-end homes. The guy at the desk looked up when I walked in. Can I help you? I need a security system installed by Friday. He raised an eyebrow. This Friday? Yes. That's 2 days. I know. He looked at me for a moment, then nodded. Let me get someone. 10 minutes later, I was sitting across from a woman named Angela. She had short gray hair and sharp eyes. She didn't waste time. What do you need? Everything, I said. Cameras, motion sensors, alarms. I want to know if anyone comes near my house. I want to see them. I want to hear them. And I want proof. She studied me. You expecting trouble? Yes. Family? I nodded. She didn't ask more questions, just pulled out a tablet and started taking notes. How many entry points? Front door, back door, side gate, 3 windows on the first floor. You want interior cameras? Yes. Audio? Yes. 2-way communication? I paused. What does that mean? Means you can talk through the camera. If someone's at your door, you can speak to them remotely. They'll hear you through a speaker. I thought about that. About Briana standing on my porch, ringing the doorbell, expecting me to answer. And me, miles away, telling her to leave. Yes, I said. I want that. Angela nodded, kept typing. You want monitoring? We can connect this to a police dispatch system. If the alarm goes off, they get notified automatically. Yes. You want signs? Stickers? What for? Deterrent. People see a security sign, they think twice. I don't want them to think twice. I want them to try. I want proof they tried. Angela looked up. Our eyes met. She smiled. Just a little. Understood. She walked me through the rest. The app I'd use to monitor everything. The cloud storage for footage. The backup battery in case someone cut the power. That's a thing people do? I asked. More often than you'd think. I thought about my dad, about his toolbox in the garage, about how he used to fix things around the house when I was a kid. He'd know how to cut power. I want the backup battery, I said. Smart. She added it to the invoice. By the time we finished, the total was $4,000. I didn't hesitate. I pulled out my credit card and paid in full. Angela scheduled the installation for Thursday morning, said her team would be there at 8. You'll be fully operational by Thursday night, she said. Good. I shook her hand, walked back to my car. $4,000. That was a lot of money. But it was worth it. Because this wasn't just about keeping Briana out. This was about control. For years, my family controlled the narrative. They decided what was reasonable, what was fair, what I owed them. But now I was taking that power back. I wasn't reacting anymore. I was planning. Thursday morning, Angela's team showed up at 8 sharp. 3 people, 2 men and a woman, all wearing company shirts and carrying toolboxes. They worked fast. I watched them mount cameras above the front door, the back door, the side gate. Small, discreet, but high definition. They installed motion sensors along the perimeter, pressure plates near the doors. They ran wires through the walls, connected everything to a central hub in my hallway closet. One of the guys showed me the app on my phone. See this? Live feed from every camera. You can scroll through them, zoom in, turn on night vision. He tapped another icon. This is your alarm. You can arm it remotely. Set it to alert you if any door or window opens, or if motion is detected. He tapped again, and this is two-way audio. You tap here, speak, and they'll hear you through the outdoor speaker. He pointed to a small black box mounted next to the front door camera. I stared at it. It looked so simple, so small, but it was everything. Can I record a message? I asked. Something that plays automatically? He nodded. Yeah, you can set a custom greeting. Plays whenever someone approaches the door. Show me. He walked me through it. I recorded a message, played it back, my voice calm and clear coming through the speaker. This is private property. You do not have permission to enter. Leave immediately or the police will be called. It sounded cold. I loved it. By Thursday night, everything was installed. I walked through my house, testing it. I opened the front door. The alarm beeped. My phone buzzed. A notification popped up. Front door opened. I closed it, walked to the back door, opened it. Same thing. I stood in my yard and waved at the camera. On my phone, I watched myself in real time. I went back inside, armed the system. Then I called Derek. It's done, I said. The system? Yeah. Cameras, alarms, everything. Good. I sent the cease and desist letter today, certified mail. They'll get it by tomorrow. And if they ignore it? Then they're knowingly trespassing, and you have grounds to call the police. I exhaled. Thank you, Derek. You doing okay? I looked around my house, at the cameras, at the app on my phone, at the fortress I'd built in 48 hours. Yeah, I said. I think I am. That night, I didn't sleep much, not because I was anxious, because I was ready. I kept my phone next to my bed, the security app open, all cameras on. I watched the live feeds, my front porch, my backyard, my driveway. Empty, quiet, safe. For now. But tomorrow was Friday, and I knew they were coming. Friday morning, I didn't stay home. I couldn't. If I was there when they showed up, I'd be forced to interact, to explain, to defend myself in person. And I didn't want that. I wanted distance. I wanted control. I wanted to watch it happen without being part of it. So I packed my laptop, my charger, and my phone, and I drove to a cafe on the other side of town. A quiet place with good Wi-Fi and corner booths. I ordered coffee, sat down, opened my laptop, and I waited. The security app was open on my phone, all camera feeds visible. Front door, back door, driveway, side gate. Nothing yet. I worked for a while, answered emails, pretended everything was normal. But my eyes kept flicking to my phone. At 11:30, the driveway camera caught movement. My stomach tightened. I tapped the screen, expanded the feed. A U-Haul truck. Small, but big enough. It pulled into my driveway and stopped. I watched. The driver's side door opened. Brandon stepped out. Tall, wearing a backward hat and a tank top. He looked around like he was sizing up the property. The passenger door opened. Briana. She was wearing sunglasses and holding a coffee cup. She looked confident, relaxed, like she belonged there. I felt my jaw clench. They walked up to the front door together. Briana pressed the doorbell. The camera was angled perfectly. I could see her face. She waited, rang again, Then my recorded message played. "This is private property. You do not have permission to enter. Leave immediately or the police will be called." Briana froze. She looked up at the camera, pulled off her sunglasses. "Madison?" she called. "Are you serious right now?" I didn't answer, just watched. Brandon stepped closer, looked at the camera too. "Come on, Madison, open the door." Briana rang the bell again. The message played again. "This is private property. You do not have permission to enter. Leave immediately or the police will be called." Briana's face changed. The confidence cracked. She looked annoyed now. "This is ridiculous," she said, to Brandon, to the camera, to no one. "She knows we're coming. Mom told her." Brandon tried the door handle. Locked. He jiggled it, pulled harder. My phone buzzed. Front door tampered with. I took a breath. Then I tapped the two-way audio button. "Stop touching my door." My voice came through the speaker, loud, clear. Briana jumped, looked around like she didn't know where it was coming from. "Madison, where are you?" "I'm not here, and you need to leave." "We're not leaving. We're moving in." "No, you're not." Brandon stepped forward, crossed his arms. "This is messed up, Madison. Your sister needs help." "She can get help somewhere else." "She's family. And this is my house." Briana's face flushed. She pointed at the camera. "You can't do this. Mom said it was fine." "Mom doesn't live here. I do. And I'm telling you to leave. We have nowhere else to go." "Not my problem." "You're such a bitch." There it was, the truth under the desperation. I almost smiled. "Leave. Now." Briana looked at Brandon. He shrugged. "She's bluffing," Briana said. She turned back to the camera. "You're not really going to call the cops on your own sister." I didn't answer. I just opened the phone app and dialed 911. The operator answered on the second ring. 911, what's your emergency?" "I need to report a trespassing," I said, my voice calm, even. "Two people are at my home trying to force entry. I've asked them to leave and they've refused." "What's your address?" I gave it to her. "Are you in danger?" "I'm not on the property, but they are, and I don't want them there." "Officers are on the way." I hung up. Then I tapped the two-way audio again. "Police are coming. You have about 5 minutes to leave." Briana's eyes went wide. "You didn't." "I did. Madison, don't do this. Please, we'll leave. Just don't." "You should have left when I asked the first time." Brandon grabbed Briana's arm. "Come on, she's serious." "No, she's bluffing." "She called the cops, Bree. I heard her." Briana stared at the camera, her face twisted, angry, desperate, confused. "I'm your sister. And you're trespassing." She opened her mouth, closed it. Then she turned and walked back to the truck. Brandon followed. I watched them climb in, watched the truck sit there idling. They didn't leave. Briana pulled out her phone, started texting someone, probably my mom. I waited. 3 minutes later, a police car pulled up. 2 officers, one older, one younger. They got out, walked up to the truck. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I watched. The older officer gestured toward the house. Briana shook her head, pointed at the camera. The officer looked up, right at the lens. I tapped the audio button. "Officers, I'm the homeowner. I'm not on the property right now, but I can speak with you remotely." The older officer tilted his head, then nodded. "Ma'am, can you confirm these individuals don't have permission to be here?" "Correct. I've asked them to leave multiple times. They refused." "Do they have keys? Any belongings inside?" "No, they've never lived here. They were told by a third party they could move in, but I never gave that permission." The officer looked back at Briana. She was crying now, full tears, hands over her face. The younger officer said something to her. She nodded, wiped her eyes. Brandon started the truck. The older officer stepped back, and they left. The U-Haul pulled out of my driveway, turned onto the street, disappeared. I watched until the camera showed nothing but an empty driveway. Then I exhaled. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from adrenaline. I just did that. I just called the cops on my own sister, and I didn't feel guilty. I felt powerful. The officer knocked on my front door. I tapped the audio. Yes? Ma'am, they're gone. Just wanted to confirm you're all set. I am, thank you. You want us to file a report? I thought about it. Yes, please. We'll email you a copy. Thank you, officers. They walked back to their car, drove away, and my house was quiet again. I sat in the cafe booth, staring at my phone. The camera feeds showed nothing now, just my porch, my door, my driveway. Empty. Safe. Mine. I closed the app, took a sip of my coffee. It was cold. I didn't care. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. I wasn't the victim anymore. I wasn't the backup plan. I wasn't the silent supporter funding everyone else's chaos. I was the woman who said no, and meant it. My phone buzzed, a text from my mom. How could you do that to your sister? I stared at it. I could have responded. I could have explained. I could have defended myself. But I didn't. I just blocked her number. Then I ordered another coffee, and I smiled. The weekend was quiet. Too quiet. I kept checking the security cameras, watching the feeds, waiting for something to happen. But nothing did. No cars in the driveway, no one at the door, no texts, no calls. It felt like the calm before a storm. Sunday night, I was in bed when my phone buzzed. Not a call, not a text. A notification from the security app. Motion detected, front porch. I grabbed my phone, opened the app. The camera showed a figure standing at my door. My mom. She was holding something. A casserole dish covered in foil. She rang the doorbell. I watched her wait. She looked tired, older than I remembered. She rang again. I thought about answering, about using the two-way audio, but I didn't. I just watched. She stood there for another minute. Then she bent down and placed the casserole on my doormat. She looked up at the camera, right into the lens. Madison, she said, her voice soft, sad. I know you're watching. I just want to talk. Please. I didn't respond. She waited, hoping maybe that I'd change my mind. I didn't. Finally, she turned and walked back to her car. I watched her drive away. Then I looked at the casserole sitting on my porch. It was her classic move, the peace offering, the guilt delivery system. She'd done this my whole life, made food, brought it over, used it as an excuse to smooth things over without actually apologizing. And I always accepted it. Not this time. I saved the footage, labeled it, stored it in a folder. Then I went back to sleep. Monday morning, the casserole was still there. I left it. Monday night, it was gone. Someone took it. Probably my mom, maybe a neighbor. I didn't care. Tuesday, I went back to work, tried to focus, tried to pretend everything was normal. But my phone kept buzzing. Unknown numbers. I didn't answer. Voicemails I didn't listen to. By Wednesday, I had 17 missed calls. I blocked every single one. Wednesday night, I was making dinner when the lights went out, all of them. The whole house went dark. I froze. My first thought? The power company. My second thought? My family. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, walked to the window. The street lights were still on. The neighbors' lights were still on. Just my house. I opened the security app. The cameras were still running. Battery backup. I switched to the side yard camera. And there he was, my dad, standing at my breaker box, the metal door open, a flashlight in one hand. He was flipping switches, trying to figure out which one controlled what. I felt my chest tighten. He didn't just show up. He came prepared. He brought tools. This wasn't a visit. This was sabotage. I tapped the two-way audio for the side camera. "Dad." He jumped, dropped the flashlight. He looked around, saw the camera. "Madison? What are you doing?" He straightened, picked up the flashlight, tried to look calm. "Your mother's worried. You won't answer her calls." "So you're cutting my power?" "I was just checking. Thought maybe something was wrong." "The only thing wrong is you standing at my breaker box uninvited." "Madison, this is ridiculous. We need to talk." "We don't need to do anything. You need to leave." "Not until you listen." "I'm calling the police." "I'm your father. And you're trespassing." He stared at the camera, his face hard, angry. "You've changed," he said. "No, I just stopped letting you walk all over me." "We're family. Family doesn't break into each other's houses." "I didn't break in. The gate was unlocked." "You're still not welcome here." He shook his head, closed the breaker box. "Your mother's right. You've become cold. I've become smart." He didn't respond, just turned and walked away. I watched him leave through the side gate, watched him get in his car, watched him drive off. Then I switched the cameras to record and save. I had it all. Every second, him opening the breaker box, him tampering with my electrical system, him admitting he was there without permission. I downloaded the footage, saved it in 3 places. Then I called Derek. He answered on the first ring. "Madison, you okay?" "My dad just tried to cut my power." Silence. "Say that again?" I told him everything. The casserole, the missed calls, the breaker box. "You have footage?" "Yes." "Send it to me." I did. He called back 5 minutes later. "This is escalating." "I know. You need a restraining order." "Against my own parents?" "Yes." I closed my eyes, took a breath. "Okay. I'll file the paperwork tomorrow. But Madison, there's something else." "What?" I did some digging into Briana's background, public records. "And?" "She has debt. A lot of it. Credit cards, personal loans, payday advances." "How much?" "Over 60,000. I felt the air leave my lungs. 60,000. "That's not all," Derek continued. "I found a loan application, filed 3 months ago, for $15,000. "So?" "It was filed using your name and your address." My stomach dropped. "What?" "Someone applied for a loan in your name, listed your house as collateral. The application was flagged for fraud and denied, but it's on record." "Briana." "Most likely." I sat down. My head was spinning. She didn't just want to move in. She needed to move in. Because she'd already used my address, my name, my identity. "She was trying to intercept the mail," I said quietly. "That's what I think, too. If she lived here, she could watch for anything that came, hide it, keep me from finding out." "Exactly." I felt sick. "Can we prove it was her?" "I'm working on it, but the signature on the application doesn't match yours. That's evidence right there." "What do I do?" "Keep documenting, keep recording, and file a police report for identity theft." "Okay, Madison," Derek said, his voice softer now. "I'm sorry. I know this is hard." "It's not hard," I said. "It's clear." Because it was. This wasn't about family drama. This wasn't about hurt feelings. This was fraud. Criminal fraud. And my parents knew. That's why they pushed so hard. That's why my mom brought the casserole. That's why my dad tried to cut my power. They weren't trying to help Briana. They were trying to protect her. And themselves. Because if I found out, if I pressed charges, it wouldn't just be Briana in trouble. it would be all of them. I hung up with Derek, sat in my dark living room. The power was still out, my dad's final act of petty revenge. But I wasn't scared. I wasn't even angry anymore. I was done. I walked outside, opened the breaker box, flipped the main switch. The lights came back on. I went inside, locked the door, armed the security system, and I started writing. A timeline. Every incident, every lie, every dollar, every piece of evidence. I wrote for hours. By the time I finished, it was past midnight. But I had everything. A case, a pattern, proof, and I was ready to use it. Thursday morning, I filed the police report. I sat in a small gray room at the station, across from an officer named Detective Mills. She was in her 40s, short dark hair, calm eyes. She listened while I explained everything. The loan application, the forged signature, Briana's debt, the timing. She took notes, didn't interrupt. When I finished, she looked up. "Do you have documentation?" I pulled out a folder, the one I'd been building all week. Bank statements, screenshots, emails, security footage, the fraudulent loan application Derek had found. I laid it all on the table. Detective Mills went through it slowly. She paused on the loan application, studied the signature. "This isn't your signature." "No." "And you never gave your sister permission to use your information?" "Never." She made a note. "And she was planning to move into your house?" "Yes, without my permission." "To intercept mail?" "That's what I believe." Detective Mills nodded, kept reading. She looked at the security footage, watched my dad at the breaker box. "He admitted he was trespassing?" "Yes, it's in the audio." She played it, listened. Then she closed the folder. "Miss Carter, I'm going to be honest with you. Family cases like this are complicated." My heart sank. "But," she continued, "you have evidence, good evidence. The loan application alone is enough to open an investigation." "So what happens now?" "I'll forward this to our fraud unit. They'll follow up. If they find enough to press charges, they'll contact you." "How long does that take?" "Couple weeks, maybe a month." I nodded. "And the trespassing?" "That's separate. You can file for a restraining order. Given the footage and the pattern of behavior, you'd likely get it." "Okay." She handed me a card. "If anything else happens, call me directly." I took the card, thanked her, walked out of the station feeling lighter than I had in days. I wasn't imagining it. I wasn't overreacting. This was real, and it was serious, and I was handling it. 2 weeks later, Derek called. They found more. More what? Applications, credit cards, store accounts, all in your name. My stomach turned. How many? 7, totaling about $32,000 in attempted credit. 32,000? Most were denied because of fraud flags, but 2 went through. Which ones? A credit card, $1,500 limit, and a furniture store account, $3,000. I felt dizzy. She bought furniture? A couch, a bed frame, kitchen table, all delivered to a storage unit she rented. She was furnishing my house. Looks like it. I sat down. She wasn't just planning to move in, she was planning to stay. Permanently. "There's more," Derek said. "Of course there is." "Your parents co-signed one of the applications." I stopped breathing. "What?" "The furniture store account. Your mom's name is on it." She knew. "Yes." I felt something crack inside me. Not sadness, not anger, just clarity. They all knew. Briana forged my name. My mom co-signed. My dad tried to sabotage my house. They weren't victims of Briana's mess. They were accomplices. "What do I do?" I asked. "The DA's office is reviewing everything. If they decide to prosecute, you'll be contacted." "And if they don't?" "You still have a civil case. You can sue for damages, fraud, emotional distress." I don't want money. Then what do you want? I thought about it. What did I want? I wanted them gone. I wanted them out of my life. I wanted to never hear from them again. A restraining order, I said, for all of them. I'll start the paperwork. 3 days later, I got the call. The DA's office. A prosecutor named Mr. Hahn. Ms. Carter, we've reviewed your case. We're moving forward with charges. My hands started shaking. Against who? Your sister Briana. Identity theft, fraud, forgery. What about my parents? Your mother's involvement is being reviewed. We may add charges depending on what else we find. And my dad? The trespassing is a separate issue. You'll need to handle that through civil court. Okay. We'll need you to testify, if this goes to trial. I will. Good. We'll be in touch. He hung up. I sat there holding my phone. It was real. Charges, court, consequences. For the first time in my life, my family was going to face the fallout of their own actions, and I wasn't going to save them. I called Derek. It's happening. I heard. Han called me too. I need the restraining order. Already filed. Hearings in 2 weeks. Will they fight it? Probably. Will I win? With the evidence you have? Yes. I exhaled. Thank you, Derek. You're doing the right thing, Madison. It doesn't feel right. It feels hard. That's different. He was right. It was hard, but it was necessary. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. Please don't do this. We're family. I didn't respond, just blocked it. Another text, another number. You're destroying this family. Blocked. Another. Mom's crying every day because of you. Blocked. They kept coming. Different numbers, same message. I was the villain. I was cruel. I was tearing the family apart. But I wasn't. They did that themselves. I just stopped covering for them. I turned off my phone, poured a glass of wine, sat on my couch, and I looked around my house, my quiet, safe, beautiful house, the place I built with my own hands, the place they tried to take. And I realized something. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need their forgiveness. I didn't need them at all. I had myself, and that was enough. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Plain white walls, wooden benches, fluorescent lights. I sat on one side with Derek. Briana sat on the other with a public defender. My parents weren't there. They were scheduled for a separate hearing, the restraining order hearing. This was just about the fraud. The judge was a woman in her 60s. She looked tired, like she'd seen too many cases like this. The prosecutor, Mr. Hahn, stood and presented the evidence. The loan applications, the credit cards, the forged signatures. He showed the documents side by side, my real signature next to the fake one. They didn't even look close. He played the security footage, Briana at my door, Brandon trying the handle. He read the texts, the ones where she announced she was moving in. He laid it all out. Clear, simple, damning. Briana's lawyer tried to argue, said she was under financial stress, said she didn't mean to hurt anyone, said family matters should be handled privately. The judge cut her off. This isn't a family matter. This is identity theft. She looked at Briana. Did you or did you not use your sister's information to apply for credit without her knowledge? Briana looked down, her hands in her lap. Yes. Did you forge her signature? A pause. Yes. The judge made a note. Ms. Carter, she said, looking at me now. Do you wish to make a statement? I stood. My hands weren't shaking. My voice was steady. Yes, Your Honor. I looked at Briana. She wouldn't meet my eyes. For years, I gave my sister everything she asked for. Money, support, patience. I did it because I thought that's what family does. I thought if I kept helping, eventually things would get better. I paused, but they didn't, because she wasn't asking for help. She was taking. And when I finally said no, she tried to steal from me. Briana's jaw tightened. She didn't just steal money. She stole my identity, my security, my peace. She planned to move into my house without permission so she could hide what she'd done. I looked at the judge. I don't want her money. I don't want revenge. I just want her out of my life. Permanently. I sat down. The judge nodded. Ms. Briana Carter, you are found guilty of identity theft and fraud. You are sentenced to 18 months probation, 200 hours of community service, and full restitution of all fraudulent charges. Briana's face went pale. You are also ordered to have no contact with the victim, no calls, no texts, no visits. Violating this order will result in jail time. The gavel came down. Briana's lawyer whispered something to her. She nodded, didn't look at me. I stood, walked out of the courtroom. Derek followed. You okay? He asked. Yeah. That was good, what you said. It was the truth. We walked outside. The sun was bright. The air was cool. I took a deep breath. It was over. 1 week later, I was back in court. This time for the restraining order. My parents were there. My mom looked small, fragile. She was crying before the hearing even started. My dad looked angry, arms crossed, jaw set. They sat on the opposite side of the room. I didn't look at them. The judge reviewed the evidence. The security footage of my dad at the breaker box, the casserole delivery, the unknown phone calls, my mom's co-signature on the fraudulent account. Their lawyer argued that they were just trying to help their daughter. The judge wasn't impressed. Helping your daughter doesn't include trespassing, harassment, or enabling fraud. She looked at my parents. You are both ordered to stay at least 500 feet away from Ms. Madison Carter and her property. No contact, no exceptions. My mom sobbed. My dad stared straight ahead. The gavel came down again. It was done. I walked out without looking back. Derek met me outside. How do you feel? I thought about it. Free. He smiled. Good. I went home. My house was quiet, safe, untouched. I made tea, sat on my balcony. The sun was setting. The sky was pink and orange. I thought about everything that happened. The text from Briana, the phone call with my mom, the police, the courtroom, all of it. And I realized something. I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the woman who said no, who built boundaries, who protected herself. I was the woman who chose peace over chaos, and I was proud of that. Months passed. I didn't hear from Briana, didn't hear from my parents. The restraining order held. I changed my locks, changed my phone number, changed my routine. I made new friends, people who respected me, people who didn't take. I went to therapy, talked through the guilt, the anger, the grief, because even though I did the right thing, it still hurt. Cutting off your family isn't easy, even when they're toxic, even when they're wrong. It still hurts. But pain doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. Sometimes pain just means you're healing. One Saturday morning, I was on my balcony drinking coffee when I got an email. Subject: restitution payment. I opened it. Briana had made her first payment, $200. It would take years for her to pay back everything she stole, but it was a start. I closed the email. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt done. Done carrying her weight. Done making excuses. Done sacrificing my peace for people who didn't value it. I looked out at my yard, my garden, my house, everything I built, everything I protected, and I smiled, because I finally understood something I should have known years ago. Cutting off toxic people isn't cruelty. It's architecture. It's building a life that's safe, that's yours, that's worth protecting. And I built a good life, a quiet life, a peaceful life, without them. I finished my coffee, went inside, started my day, and I didn't think about them at all, because they didn't live here anymore. Not in my house, not in my head. They were gone. And I was finally, completely, beautifully free. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. I know my story isn't easy. I know some people will think I was too harsh, too cold, too unforgiving. And that's okay, because I didn't tell this story for them. I told it for you. For the person who's tired of being the family ATM. For the person who's exhausted from carrying everyone else's problems. For the person who's been told that boundaries are selfish. They're not. Boundaries are survival. I spent years thinking that love meant sacrifice, that being a good sister, a good daughter, meant saying yes even when it hurt. But I was wrong. Real love doesn't drain you. It doesn't demand. It doesn't punish you for protecting yourself. Real love respects boundaries. And if your family can't do that, it's okay to walk away. It's okay to choose peace over bloodline. It's okay to build a life that's yours and protect it fiercely. You don't owe anyone access to your space, your money, or your energy just because you share DNA. You deserve safety. You deserve respect. You deserve a life that doesn't feel like a constant negotiation. And if cutting people off is what it takes to get that, then cut them off. Not with anger, not with drama, just with clarity and boundaries that don't bend. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt trapped by toxic family dynamics, if you've ever wondered whether you were wrong for saying no, share this, because someone out there needs to hear it. Someone out there needs permission to protect themselves, and maybe, just maybe, this story will give them that. Peace isn't selfish, it's sacred. Protect it.